Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another Glacial Geek Kill Team Battle Report. I am Phil, the Glacial Geek, coming to you here from Casa de Neil, where I'm about to fight a brand new Kill Team game here with the brand new 2021 edition of Kill Team between my Grey Knights and Neil's 1,000 Sons. So the story that we've got going on here, this planet, the 1,000 Sons has descended upon it, and we're performing a vile ritual to the dark gods, probably Tzeentch, but the Grey Knights don't care to which god they are performing the ritual, just that ritual be stopped. And they sent in a fire team to go take out the aspiring sorcerer that was leading it down here before he could complete his mission. So the story, the mission that we're going to be playing today is Loot and Salvage from the main core rulebook. Essentially, there are 6 objectives on the table here. During the mission, you can perform an action called Loot and Salvage, which is essentially if you are within a triangle of an objective marker, you can try to loot. You can loot that objective marker if you are within triangle and control the objective. Essentially, what that does is it gives you a victory point if you complete it. You can score up to 4 victory points per turning point that way, and each objective marker can only be looted once per turning point, and a maximum of 3 times for the game can it be looted. So there's only 4 turning points in the game, but you can't loot it for all 4 turns. So if you get it on the first turn, second turn, and third turn, you can't get it on that 4th turn for points there. So a maximum of 4 points per turn and a maximum of 3 times per objective that you can loot it. We also chose our secondary missions, which will remain hidden until they are revealed. So some of them will be revealed during turning points, during the strategic phase of the turning points. Some of them will be will be shown when you achieve a certain action, and it goes from there. So that is the story. That is the mission. Before we go any further, though, let's show you the 2 kill teams that are going to be fighting it out. So for the Grey Knights, my kill team will consist of 1 fire team, including a Justicar and a Grey Knight gunner. And for the 1,000 Sons, his kill team will consist of 2 fire teams, including a Rubric Marine fire team that includes an aspiring sorcerer, an icon bearer, and a gunner. We then have a Zangor fire team, including a banner bearer, a horn bearer, and 4 other Zangors. All right, so those are going to be the kill teams that are going to be fighting it out here. Going over deployment, I have my gunner on the side over here. I've got one of my Grey Knights here. I've got the Justicar underneath the overhang over this way. I've got another Grey Knight and another Grey Knight along the side here. Our deployment zones were square, so 3 inches basically along the long edge of the map. We then have over on this side, we've got the Zangor banner bearer. We've got a regular Zangor. We've got the icon bearer there, the 1,000 Sons icon bearer over here. We've got the aspiring sorcerer next to him. We've got a Zangor. We've got the horn bearer. We've got the 1,000 Sons gunner up on top over here, and a regular Zangor on the side over there. So we are now going to go into the scouting phase. This is there's 3 different options that you have with the scouting phase. You can choose Fortify, which allows you to set up an additional barrier on the table. You can then you can choose Infiltrate, which is once during the first deployment zone, or during the first turning point, you can change the activation token of one of your operatives, because when you deploy your operatives, you have to deploy them with an activation token that has to be the same there. In consequent turning points, you can actually you choose it when you activate the unit, but it has to stay that one for the first turn. Then you can also choose Recon, which allows you to perform a free dash for a unit that's wholly within your deployment zone during this scouting phase here. The reason it makes a difference now is that this will also determine, based upon rock, paper, scissors, who will be going first. So if you choose Fortify and your opponent chooses Infiltrate, you will go first, because Fortify beats Infiltrate. Infiltrate beats Recon, and Recon beats Fortify. So it's just rock, paper, scissors to see who goes first here. So we are now going to reveal it. So we have dice in our hands that we're not going to show until we reveal it at the same time and see who will have it. So they're going to be marked with 1, 2, or 3. So here we go. And reveal. I chose 2. My opponent chose 3. So my opponent chose recon. So you'll get a free dash. I chose infiltrate. So once during the first turning point, I can actually change one of the operative's activation tokens. But I will go first because I chose infiltrate and my opponent chose recon. So that is the beginning of the battle. So we will now go on into the different stages of his first turn. All right, so we did the initiative step there. Basically, first turn initiative step is kind of taken care of previously, but then we went into the strategic phase, which we generate. Everyone generates 1 CP. My opponent actually took a piece of equipment called what is it, loot, or no, a treasured item or something like that. It essentially allows one of his Zangors to take trinket. He allows him to get 1 extra CP during the game. So my opponent starts with, or at first turn here, he's going to have 4, and I had 3 because you start with 2, and then if you have a leader, you start with 2, which we both have leaders, and then we got to get +1 during this strategic phase. You then play strategic ploys. I spent 1 CP on Bolter Discipline, which will allow any of my operatives to use 2 of their APL to shoot instead of just 1 that you're usually allowed to do, as long as they're shooting with a Storm Bolter. My opponent decided to not spend any CP during the strategic plays phase. And then we have the target reveal step. So I actually am going to reveal some of my secondary objectives here. So the first one I'm going to do is called Hold the Line. You can reveal this tac op in the target reveal step of any turning point after the first. At the end of the turning point, if there are no enemy operatives, focus there, if there are no enemy operatives within Pentagon of your drop zone, you score 1 VP. If you achieve the first condition at the end of any subsequent turning points, score an additional VP. So that's how they always work. You're going to be scoring 1 VP, or you're going to be scoring 2 VP if you can complete both of the operatives here. I'm also going to show damage limitation. You can reveal this tac op in the target reveal step of any turning point after the first. At the end of any turning point, if no friendly operatives are incapacitated during this turning point, you score 1 VP. You can't see that. It's not focusing. Focus here. What are you doing here? Why are you not focusing? Why you no focus? Anyway, it's so you score 1 VP if my guys aren't incapacitated, and then that subsequent turn I can get it again if I have nobody incapacitated, or no one was incapacitated during this turn. So I've shown those 2. Do you have any to show on the first turn here for you, sir?
No.
Or no, he's not going to show any of his, so they're going to be coming later turns or are dependent upon something actually happening. So that's going to be it. We will now start into the firefight phase, which is when you start activating models, starting with me since I won the initiative. All right, so my first activation is going to be my Justicar over here. He is going to fire into his aspiring sorcerer over on this side. So the first shot is going to be 4 shots with his Stormbolter. Because he's the Justicar, he's looking for a 2+ on these. The weapon also has Relentless, which means I can re-roll all hits if I want to. So these are going to be looking for 2+ on here. I'm going to re-roll the fail there. Okay, not meant to be. All right, so that's going to be 3 hits. You now get your defense dice. My opponent has a 3 defense, and he's looking for 3 pluses. Failing 2 of them.
You can do my emblem 5.
No, you have to choose. Yeah, you choose the safe. So that was a success anyway. Right. So that's going to cancel out 1 of these, but now 2 go through. The damage on the Stormbolter is, let me just double check it, 3/4. So it would be on a regular hit, it would do 3 wounds. On a critical hit, it would do 4 wounds. But because I gave him the Cybolt ammunition, it's going to be doing 4/5. So that's going to be 8 damage to him over there. And because I spent the CP on Bolter Discipline for the first turn here, he's actually going to get to shoot again. He's going to put it back into the Aspiring Sorcerer over here. So we're going to have 4 dice here. 4 attacks again, looking for 2s. I'm going to leave those, so that's going to be 4 hits. You now have 3 dice, so you're looking for 3 up on your defense. Failing 1 of them, so going to spend a CP to re-roll that.
Send down to 3.
That's going to be good, so it's going to take out 3. So it's going to do 4 damage to you, so he's still alive with 1 wound left. All right, so now into my opponent's activation here. He's going to actually activate the Aspiring Sorcerer here. So the first thing he's going to do is a power that the Aspiring Sorcerers have called Psychic, the Manifest Psychic Power. So he is going to cast Cybolt. It automatically goes off. So now Psychic Powers are just basically an action, so we spend it. So what he does now, Cybolt basically is a shooting attack here that has 4 shots. looking for 3+ ballistic skill, but because he's injured, it becomes a 4+ ballistic skill. And then it does 3/3 damage. It has lethal 5+, which means that it does mortal wounds on a 5+, as opposed to just a 6+. And it has the special activation on crits. It does 2 mortal wounds in addition to everything else. So, gonna have 4 dice here, looking for 4+ here, and 5s and 6s are crits. Okay, so getting 2 crits and 1 regular hit. I now have my defense against these. So I'm looking for 3+ for regulars, and I'm looking for 6s for critical saves. I get 1 critical save and 1 regular save. So I can cancel out his regular shot with that, and I can cancel out 1 of the crits with that. But the crit still goes through there. 1 crit still goes through, which means that he does 2 mortal wounds plus 3 damage. He does 5 damage to me.
Officer.
So the aspiring sorcerer can actually cast psychic powers twice in a turn. Usually what happens is the second time they cast their psychic power, they have to roll a d6, and on a 1 or 2, they take 3 mortal wounds in addition. But because the icon bearer is within, I think it's square of him, he can actually do that second power without having to roll the d6. So he's not going to be taking the mortal. He doesn't have to roll to possibly take mortal wounds because of the icon bearer next to him that is right over there. So now he is going to be doing Firestorm, which is essentially a shooting attack, 5 shots, 4+, which becomes 5+ because of him being injured. And then it does indirect, which I think does not need him to have line of sight, barrage, which would affect, and blast, but there's nobody around him over there, so it's just going to be into him. So looking for 5s on these. 6s are crits, so those do the same damage, with just the way they have it there. But to block it, I will need a crit. So I make 2 regulars, so I cannot block the crit, but I can block the regular. So that just does 2 damage to me. And then for his 3rd APL here, he is going to use his Mythic Scroll, which is the war gear he was given there, allowing him to do an additional manifest psychic power here. And he is going to use it to cast Twist of Fate, which essentially means you choose an enemy operative within visual, so that he can see. So he's going to see my guy over there. He is going to make it so that now Thousand Suns units that shoot into him count as having get to reroll 1 dice during their attacks into him over there. So this guy essentially over here is going to be able to draw line of sight in his subsequent phases, and he's going to be able to reroll 1 of his attack dice when shooting into him over there. So 3 psychic actions from the sorcerer there, which is pretty good. My second guy over here is going to activate. He moved up over here behind the cover over there. He's got the concealed activation token there. He is going to loot the objective over here, getting me a victory point, and then he is going to cast the psychic power, because Grey Knights also have the powers. Ones they can choose. They have 3 that they can choose from. It's Armored Resilience, Hammer Hand, and Astral Aim. Armored Resilience is the one he's going to cast, which will give him +1 to his save. Astral Aim ignores cover or the no cover rule to his shooting attacks, and Hammer Hand gives them +1, I think, damage to close combat, or the first close combat attack that goes through is +1 damage. So that's what his activation is going to be. All right, so now my opponent's going to activate his dude bro over here, who is going to fire into my Justicar with his Warp Bolter. He is going to have, so basically it's 4 shots here, looking for 3+. Does damage 3/4, but it's at AP1, which means he reduces my defense dice by 1. So now he's going to have these, looking for 3+. Getting to reroll. We could have rerolled 1 of them if you wanted to, because of the psychic power that you had gotten off before there. So he's going to have the 1 critical, and then he's going to have 3 regular here. So I have now 2 dice to try to defend against this because of AP being AP1. My defense usually being 3. So now looking for 3+ on these. Getting a crit and a regular. So the crit will deny the crit there, and then the regular will deny 1 of the regular. But 2 of these are going to go through, and what's the regular damage? 3?
Yeah.
All right, so that actually kills my Justicar right off there. All right, I activated my guy over here. So he's going to move up to the barricade over on this side. Then he's going to loot the objective over here. And then he is going to give himself armored resilience, put him to a 2-up save. All right, so now my opponent is going to fire with this guy into my dude bro over here. He is concealed and behind cover, which normally means you can't draw a line of sight to him for shooting. But because he's up on a vantage point up over here, he can see him, and he will be able to draw a line as if he's engaged. I will be in cover, so I can count one of my saves as being a save, and that should be fine. But his Soul Reaper cannon that he's going to be firing into him here is going to be 6 shots. He's looking for 3-up on these. It's also AP -1, so I'm going to only have 2 dice to save here. So these are going to be looking for 3-ups to hit him here. All right. So that's just going to be...
Should I waste it?
I think you already spent your CP reroll, didn't you? Because I thought you did when you tried to save one of the guys. Yeah. Okay. So you're going to have 1 crit, and he's going to have 4 regular saves there. He's got a 2-up armor save now because of armored resilience. So I'm just going to roll these looking for those crits. So show me them fill faces. No, I did not. I only got the 1, and this one is a fail there. So I'm going to spend my CP to reroll that, because that's a lot of damage to go into there. Okay, so that's going to be 2 saves into him over there, which will cancel out 2 of the regular ones. But you're still going to do 10 damage to him, so he's got 1 wound left.
Early.
All right, so my guy over here moved and dashed around the corner over on this side, and now he's going to shoot into his sorcerer over here. His sorcerer does have cover, but he's not concealed, so he will be targetable. So I'm going to have 4 shots with his Stormbolter, hitting on 3s. I can reroll any of these because of it being relentless. Okay, not meant to be, so I got a crit and 2 regular shots here. So he's going to have his 3 3-up saves, but he can take 1 as an automatic save if you want to, because he's in cover. So you want to do that?
Yes.
So then take 1 of those dice that you have in your hand. Yep, that becomes a save already, so it's going to cancel that out.
And then I got my
and you got
5.
you're going to do the invul 5. Is that what you want, or do you? No, you want 3-ups the armor, because they have a 5-up invul save, but your 3-up armor save is better. There's no AP on this. Yeah, 3-up saves. Getting 1, so that's going to cancel this out, but the crit will still stand, and he's only got 1 wound left, so he is incapacitated. My opponent activated his Zangor over here, who hopped over the barrier there and is going to loot that objective. All right, so my guy over here, my last guy activated, he moved up on top of the vantage point over here, and he's going to fire into his Zangor, who he can see, because even though he's concealed getting cover, I'm at a higher vantage point, so I'm going to shoot him with my Stormbolter here. So it's going to be 4 shots looking for 3s. Rerolling any that I want to. All right, so that's going to be a crit and 3 hits. How many? You got 3 defense dice. He's got a 5-up invul save, which is actually higher than his regular save here. So he's looking for 5-ups on these. Getting 1 crit, so that will cancel out my crit, but you'll still take 9 damage from that. So that's just going to kill him. And then I'm going to fire with the second one because of Bolter Discipline into his gunner up over here. So it's going to be 4 shots. Again, looking for 3s. Whoa, good thing I can reroll because of it being relentless. Okay, so that's going to be 3 hits, 3 regular hits, and 1 miss there. So now he has a 3-up armor save. So looking for those. Making all of them. So that's going to be enough to wipe out mine there. He takes no damage. My opponent's then going to activate his Horn Bearer over here, who is going to move up onto that objective and loot it. All right, so now because all of my guys have activated, I can actually activate as Overwatch actions here for some of my guys. So we're going to start. What you can do is essentially once all of your guys have activated, alternating with your opponent still activating their army, you can make an activation called an Overwatch, which allows you to shoot, but you're at -1 to your ballistic skill that you would normally be shooting at. This can go on, but each model can only ever do it once per turning point. So here we go. We're going to go with this. So he is going to now activate and shoot into the Zangor over here. So he's going to have 4 shots. Looking for 4s to hit because it's -1 to the ballistic skill there. So it's going to be 2 hits, including a crit. And then I'm going to reroll because of Relentless. So that's going to be 3 hits, including a crit. So he still has his 3 defense dice here. Looking for 5-ups for his invul, which is better. None. So he will be dead. My opponent's then going to activate one of his Zangors to move and dash over into cover over here. Now my guy up here is going to activate his Overwatch, firing into his gunner, looking for 4s to hit. Rerolling everything I want to because of Relentless. That is going to be 2 regular hits into your guy up there. So he's going to have 3 3-ups because he's got his defense of 3. Getting them all, so he is good to go.
Now I can get it.
My opponent activated his Zangor over here, who moved and dashed onto the objective, but because he only has 2 APL, he cannot actually loot that objective. Then my guy over here is going to activate for his Overwatch into the gunner again. I'm going to be -1 to my ballistic skill, so I'm going to be looking for 5s actually on these because it's -1 for Overwatch and then -1 for him being injured over there. So looking for 5s. Getting 1 and re-rolling. Nope, that's just going to be the 1. His 3-up saves. Yeah, he's good. And then his banner bearer activated and hid over there. And that is going to be the last activation of this turning point. Scoring of the secondaries here. I did have someone that went out of action there, so damage limitation. I do not score for this turning point, but I do score keeping him outside of the pentagon of my deployment zone there. So I will score 1 VP for that. So that is going to be it for this turn. We will then move on into the initiative step of turning point number 2. All right, so the way initiative works on subsequent turns here, my opponent, we will roll off. The winner, whoever has a higher dice, will have initiative, but ties go to whoever went second last time. So rolling off there, I had a 4. My opponent has a 6, so it will be Thousand Suns going to be activating first on turn number 2. All right, so at the beginning of once we figured out who had initiative here, we readied all of our operatives, and then we go into the strategy phase. We each generated a command point. Then we did strategic ploys. My opponent has spent 1 CP on malicious volleys, which will mean that any of his Rubric Astartes units that fires a bolt weapon can actually fire twice. They can basically make 2 shoot actions if they so desire with their APL to fire, sort of like I had with Bolter Discipline, except he has it with bolt weapons for malicious volleys. And I spent 1 CP on Tide of Shadows, which means that his units that are in on vantage points don't get to ignore my conceal order for targeting units that have light cover. So pretty good. I think I'm trying to keep myself protected from Big Baddie up on top over there. So that is going to be that. We then reveal any target reveals. Do you have anything to reveal in your secondaries in the target reveal stage? Okay, you know mine that are already out, so those have already been revealed. So we will come back to you with the firefight phase, starting with my opponent.
Dice.
So my opponent has activated his Rubric Marine down over here, who has moved up and then is going to fire into him for their first shot here. So it's going to be 4 dice, looking for 3s to hit. So that's going to be 2 hits. It is AP -1, so I only have 2 saves here. I do get cover, so I am going to take 1 of those saves to auto to go there, and then I'm going to have looking for the other one is going to be on a 3-up, and I do get it, so I ignore them both. Woo! Because of malicious fusillade here, he is going to fire it again. He's going to try that one again. Oh, that's much better there. So that's going to be 2 crits and 2 regular. I am going to try to roll because I want to try to deny those crits, hopefully. So looking for fill faces. No, I get to deny the 2 regular there, so it's going to be 8 damage to him, though. So that's pretty good. That puts him down to 3. All right, so I'm going to activate my guy over here, put him into the engaged action there. He is going to loot that objective over there for another victory point. Second time that objective has been looted. And then he is going to cast Armored Resilience on him, giving him a 2-up armor save. And now he's going to fire into his Rubric Gunner over here with the Psy Cannon. So it's 5 shots, looking for 3 pluses. Okay, so it's going to be a crit and 2 regular. I am going to spend a CP to reroll one of those. Okay, so it's going to be 3 regular and a crit. Now my opponent is going to roll his defense dice. He's got a 3-up save. So these are now going to be 3 3-up saves.
Were you AP anything?
No AP on anything on this. So 3-up saves. So he makes 2 regular. So that is going to do. Do you want to spend a CP to reroll?
Yeah.
All right. My opponent's going to spend a CP to reroll over there.
whack him. I don't want him whacked.
Yeah, so this is going to be looking for a 3-up regular save. No, not going to happen there. So this does 6 damage and 4 damage, so a total of 10 damage to him. All right, so now his gunner is going to activate, firing into my guy up on top over here. He is going to be 6 shots here, and he's going to have 6 shots, looking for 4-ups because he is injured over here. Okay, so getting two hits over there. I'm going to take 2 regular hits. So I'm going to take 1 from the cover automatic save, and then I'm looking for a 3-up on him. No, and I can't re-roll it, so that does 3 damage, right?
It killed you outright.
Yeah, that's just going to kill me. All right, so my opponent actually reveals now one of his tac ops he has here. It's called Deadly Marksman. Essentially, at the beginning here, when he had this tac op, he secretly chose his gunner, which is a good call. And what you do is you reveal this whenever that secret marksman kills or incapacitates an enemy operative while he is wholly within square of his drop zone. So because he was able to incapacitate him there at the end, he actually scores that score there, so he gets 1 point for that. And at the end of the battle, if you achieve the first condition, your marksman has not been incapacitated, score 1 VP. So if he's still alive at the end of the battle, he will score an additional VP, but right now he scores the 1 VP for having incapacitated my guy. All right, so then this guy activated, he is going to loot the objective over there, and then he's going to cast Armored Resilience, giving him a 2-up. And he's going to stay in Conceal over there, keeping him protected. My opponent activated his Zangor over here, who just looted that objective over there and then passed. My guy over here activated, he moved onto the objective over here, looted it, and then cast Hammer Hand, which means that if in the fight phase, he inflicts 1 additional damage the first shot that goes through.
Everybody can do.
Over here, his Horn Bearer is going to activate by looting the objective over there, and then he is also going to activate the horn, blow the horn here, which will give a plus triangle extra movement to all of his Zangors.
I figured he's going to get.
Now my gunner over here is going to activate his Overwatch and fire into his marksman over here. So it's going to be 5 shots here, looking for 4s because it is Overwatch and -1 to hit. All right, so that is actually going to be 1, 2, 3 regular and a crit.
No AP.
No AP on those. So he gets to roll. No saves there, so he is just straight up incapacitated. So his guy over here activated, moving up and then dashing onto the objective, but he only has 2 APL, so he can't actually loot it. All right, so now would usually be the time when I can activate another model for Overwatching, but you can only activate him for Overwatch if they have the engaged token, and he's the only one that has engaged token. He's already shot Overwatch once, so no more Overwatching for me. And then for my opponent's last activation over here, he moved and dashed onto the objective over here with his Banner Bearer. All right, so that's going to be the end of the turning point here. I did score my second Hold the Line, which is pretty good. I did not score damage limitation, though, because he did incapacitate one of my guys again. So that is going to be the end of that. We will now roll to see who has initiative going into turning point 3. I rolled a 3 and my opponent rolled a 6, so it will be the Thousand Suns activating once again. So we will come back to you after the strategy step. All right, so during the strategic ploy step here, my opponent is going to spend 2 CP, 1 on Inhuman Savagery, which essentially allows if the Zangors charge, as long as he gets if the attack roll dice step of the combat, if you retain 2 or more successful hits, you can retain 1 failed hit as a successful hit. So as long as he has 2 successful hits, he can retain 1 of his misses as a hit. He's also going to spend a CP on Malicious Volleys, allowing the bolter guy to fire twice if he so desires. So that's going to be it for the strategic step here. We will now, you don't have to reveal any of your things, okay? So now we're going to move on to the firefight step. All right, so my opponent is going to start off with his rubric icon bearer here. He is going to move around the corner here with 1 of his APL. He is then going to fire into me over here with his Infernal Bolters here. Infernal Bolter. So he's going to have, 4 attacks?
Yep.
Looking for 3 pluses to hit. getting 1 crit and 3 successes. It's AP -1, so that means I only have 2 defense dice here. I'm looking for those crits. I really want to hopefully get a crit. So looking for fill faces on 3 ups on him. Getting a fill face and getting a regular save there. So I will take 6 damage onto him total there, leaving me with 5. My opponent's then going to do it again because he spent the CP on malicious volleys over here. So that's going to be 4 regular hits there. I am going to retain 1 as an auto save, and then I am going to get another save. So, but he still does 2. That's going to do 6. So that would actually take me out of action. I'm going to spend 1 CP on Only in Death Does Duty End, which essentially says that he's hurt, but he is not removed until the end of my next activation, and he also doesn't count as being injured for it. All right, so right now I'm going to activate this guy because he dies at my next activation, so he's going to be gone regardless. So I'm going to activate him. He cannot loot this right now because I have 3 APL and he has 2 APL, which normally means I would control it and be able to loot it, but he has the banner, which gives him an additional APL when determining who holds that objective there. So we're tied, which means that nobody controls this. And since I don't control it, I cannot loot it. So I am now going to just shoot him in the face with my side cannon to try to get it here. So I don't count as being injured. So I'm going to have 5 shots here, looking for 3 ups. Okay, so I got 2 hits. My opponent has a defense of 3. I'm out of CP at this point, so I can't re-roll one of those. So he's going to have a looking for invul 5s here. So he's got 3 5-ups he needs. No, they don't go through.
Would it be worth re-rolling?
I don't know. One of them is going to be no, because they're going to be doing. He has 8 damage.
Yeah.
It might be if you can get a 5. If you get a 5 or a 6, he was. So my opponent's going to spend his last CP to try to re-roll that.
5, 6. Come on.
No, it doesn't. So that's going to do 8 damage, which is enough to kill him. So then he's removed, and my next APL will be to loot that objective. And my guy is dead. All right, so my opponent has now activated this Zangor over here who charged into me, and now he is going to fight me. We now both roll our dice. He's got the chainsword there, so he's going to have 4 attacks, looking for 5 ups. So that's going to be 2 successes there. I now have 5 attacks, looking for 3 ups with my force weapon here, looking for 3 ups, and it's lethal 5, so 5s and 6s are crits. So I do get 1 crit and 3 regular, but the problem is my opponent gets to allocate first. He's just going to stick me with that, doing the damage, which incapacitates me, and that's the end of combat. All right, so we just ran into a little printing error here. So the deadly marksman here, the wording is if you secretly select your marksman and you score points if you kill enemies with it, and if he's alive at the end. But Rob and Ransack, which is another one, says you reveal this TAC op and enemy operative is incapacitated by a friendly operative within triangle of it, and that friendly operative is more than square from other enemy operatives. And then what you can score your VP from is the exact wording of deadly marksman. So it talks about having the marksman shooting incapacitated by shooting attacks. You don't get it. You can't get it. So you cannot score these points technically under Rob and Ransack. But because my opponent had taken it, had misread what was going on there, we're actually going to give him the VP for having killed him, because it's going to be, you're going to score something here, but what it actually is supposed to be will have to come out once it's, because when I'm recording this, it's not actually officially out. It's still in the pre-order step, so you can't, they're not going to say anything until it comes out yet. But yeah, printing error. Robin Ransack technically cannot be scored at all. So the way we're going to do it is we're going to give him the VP for this because he killed something within range there, and then we'll make the assumption that it's the same thing if he does it again. He can score an additional VP, but yeah, cannot get it there. So yeah, printing error. Interesting. Fun. All right, then for my activation, my guy over here is going to hop over the thing. First, he's going to loot that objective, get in the 3rd point from there, hop over to here, and then he's going to cast Hammer Hand on himself. So there we go. That's where he's at. All right, so my opponent's next 2 activations, since nothing I can do over here, is just going to be to loot those objectives and stay on them, so getting him 2 more scores. All right, so that's going to be the end of the turn here, the turning point here. So now we are going to find out. Nobody has any scores from because he keeps killing one guy per turn, which means I can't get my damage limitation. So at the end of the limit, he did take out someone that turn. So now we are going to go into the fourth turning point here. So we are going to now roll off to see who has initiative. I rolled a 1, my opponent rolled a 6, so it will be Thousand Suns starting us off yet again. So we'll come back to you after the strategy step. All right, so during the strategy phase, we both gained a CP, and then we both spent it during the strategic phase. So my opponent spent it on inhuman savagery, allowing his dude bros to giving them bonuses when they charge into me over here. It's if they get 2 successes, they can 5+ or successes. They can actually hold. They can actually take one of their failures as a success as well. I spent 1 CP on shock assault, allowing me to fight twice as long as I don't shoot during my phase. So that's going to be it for the strategy phase. So we'll come back to you with the firefight step. All right, so my opponent has activated his Rubric Marine. He first tried to come over here and shoot at me, but because his line of sight is going to draw through an obscuring piece of terrain, which what is this, it blocks my line of sight. So there's 2 things that have to happen. If he is within a triangle of the point where the line of sight crosses the terrain, which he was not because he was back over here, he would be able to draw a line of sight. And if I was closer than circle to where the line of sight crosses, then I would be obscured. But because the line of sight crosses here over the terrain, I'm all the way back over here, so it does not cross. It crosses when I'm further than circle away from it, so he cannot draw a line of sight onto me over there. So then he decided instead to walk up onto the objective over here and then loot it for a point. All right, so my guy over here now activated. He's going to move over here. I'm going to actually put that to activated. He is going to move over here. He's going to cast Hammer Hand onto himself, and then he is going to shoot his Zangor over here. So I've got my Stormbolter hitting on 3s, rerolling because of it being relentless. All right, so that's going to be no crits, but it's going to be 4 hits there. He's got 3 5-up saves. Oh, making 3 of them. So he will get to ignore 3 of them. He will take 3 damage, but he's still alive. All right, so now my opponent has activated his Zangor that was over here. He charged into me, and then he's going to attack me. So he's going to have 4 attacks here, looking for 4s.
I got my horn.
And the horn, well, so the horn, the golden horn is, so yeah, it gave him a war gear equipment there. That's the golden horn, which is, what is it? It's like you can you can keep one of your 5 pluses as a critical. So we'll just mark this up to a 6 there. So basically he has 2 critical hits. You're looking for 4 pluses, right?
Yeah.
So he just has the 2 critical successes there. But because you kept 2 successes, you can actually keep one of these as a success as well because of spending the inhuman savagery that you did. So now I am going to activate, I'm going to attack with mine. I technically attack at the same time here. I have lethal 5+ on mine, so I'm looking for 3 pluses, but 5s and 6s are criticals. So I get 2 criticals and 2 regulars.
Good job, Bob.
So now, one second.
No, yeah.
All right, so he has, this is the horn guy, so he's going to have a dagger. So he gets to activate first. He's going to critical attack into me over here, doing 4 damage to me with that crit. But then I will critical into him, doing 6 damage, which will incapacitate him. All right, so my opponent then moved his Zangor, charged into me over here, just making it an engagement range, which is exactly what he needed to do over there. So now we are going to attack again. He has the chainsword instead of the whatchamacallit, instead of the dagger here. So rolling our attacks. So these 5s count as crits.
I'm going to golden to 1. And then
these count as crits, and then these count as successes.
And then I'm malicious.
And then he is going to malicious, so he's going to have a regular hit over here as well. So that's going to be a crit and a regular. And you can start us off, sir. Going the crit to me, he's going to put it as damage, because you could choose 2 different things. You can either parry, or you can do a direct damage. So if you do the damage, you do the damage. But if you do the parry, you do that.
Oh, I want to damage.
Yeah, so he wants the damage. So he wants the damage over here. So that's going to be doing, what's the chainsword?
5.
It does 5 damage to me. So that puts me down to 2 wounds here.
Mm-hmm.
This will do 6. Hammer hand. I forgot I have hammer hand here. So that's actually going to do 7 damage to him over there. Not dead because he's got 2 left. And then he is going to do this to me, which will actually take me out of action there. So, because he takes me out of action, I actually have to reveal one of my cards. All right, so I had chosen Plant the Banner. Plant Banner. Come on, focus. Why are you having trouble focusing?
Rush.
Yeah, seriously. Focus here. Focus. What are you doing? All right, Plant Banner here. So, after selecting this TAC op, secretly select a friendly operative carrying your banner. So that's what I chose with my guy over there. He was carrying the banner. I reveal this when I drop the banner token. So I drop my banner token over there. I could technically pick it up if I had anyone left, but I don't. My opponent at the end of the battle is going to, at the end of the battle, if my banner token, which is what I dropped there, is in his deployment zone, I score 2 VP. So he has no one over there that can go over. Technically, he could do an action to try to destroy the banner, but he doesn't have anyone who's going to be able to get over there with the APL. And the guy who attacked me ran out of APL over there. So I will be scoring those 2 VP at the end of this battle, which is pretty good, but we still got some more actions to take. Yep. And also because we said it with the rob and ransack, we're going to give him the victory point there because he did the second victory point for rob and ransack, since we don't know technically what it is, but he chose it. So we'll just know in the future not to choose that one, but we're going to give him the second victory point because he did it in a subsequent turn there, putting him up to 10 victory points to my 9 victory points right now until I score those. My opponent's then going to activate this guy to loot that one objective, putting him to 11 victory points. I score the 2 victory points for having that banner back there, and we tie. So that's at the end of the game because this is turn 4. We both we tie here because we both have 11 victory points for these here. My opponent could have had another one, but he had forgotten to reveal this TAC op at the beginning of one of his turning points. You need, because that's the whole thing, is that you have to reveal your TAC ops before you can score them. So I should say some of them you need to reveal before you score them. Some of them will tell you when to reveal it. Some of them will tell you to reveal at the beginning of any, at the reveal target step. And if you don't put it at the reveal target step, you can't score it until it's been revealed. The whole point is to give your opponent a chance to try to deny those points there. So, man, that was such a close game. You kept killing my guys. I thought for sure if I put down that you weren't going to put any incapacitate any of my guys turn 1, that I was going to be able to get at least one turn where you didn't kill someone. But no, you had to kill someone every single turn, which meant that I did not score any of those victory points. So at the end of the day, I think it all worked out that you scored. I think we all scored. No, I scored 2 of my secondaries fully for 2 points each. You scored one of yours fully for 2 points and one of them for 1 point. And then I did not score any on one of mine. You did not score any on one of yours. So that means that you picked up one more objective for loot than I was able to accomplish there. So a really close game. I mean, you can't get any closer than a tie, but a ton of fun. And I think it's really starting to get better now that we're starting to know the rules. It's going smoother. It's going faster. I think this is going to be a real fun addition. I'm enjoying it so far. But that was really fun to see how psychic powers work in this edition. I did have a guy who had some. He did have a piece of equipment which would have allowed me to try to deny one of his psychic powers, but his psyker died before I was able to use it. And I had another guy that could do 2 psychic powers, could cast a second psychic power, but it never came up before he died. So that's just the way it was. And that guy over there had 2-up armor save. He had the true silver armor, and he would have had a 2-up armor save, but he never was shot at because I was just sneaking him around the side over there trying to get my plant the banners. And in the end, it was worth it because it did get me the tie as opposed to the loss. So I hope you guys have all enjoyed this. I certainly have. I have been Phil, the Glacial Geek. As always, my opponent's been Neil, and until next time, stay safe and have fun.